What would you do if your husband called while you were halfway across the world just to tell you your marriage was over and he'd sold your house without you? No warning. No hesitation. Just a cold, amused voice on the other end of the phone, ripping everything apart with the casualness of someone canceling a gym membership. That's what happened to me. My name is Claire Rivers. I'm 35. And a few months ago, I found myself staring out the window of a 5-star hotel in Milan. My hands trembling slightly, the soft buzz of a room service tray still lingering in the air, while my husband of 8 years, Daniel, told me everything I thought was stable in my life had already been torn down. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. He didn't cry. He didn't shout. He laughed. I'm divorcing you, he said. I've already sold the beach house. Mila and I are starting over. Somewhere sunnier, somewhere real. I remember I paused. Not because I didn't know what to say. I just didn't want to say it the way he expected. So I kept my voice steady and replied with 2 words, I understand. But I didn't understand. Not really. At least not yet. Because what Daniel didn't realize, what he never realized, was that the woman he just tried to erase wasn't going to disappear quietly. He thought that call ended the story. It was only the beginning. So let me tell you what really happened. It started 3 days earlier. I was boarding a red-eye flight to Italy for the Global Strategy Leadership Summit. The kind of conference with catered lunches, name tag lanyards, and keynote speakers who were way too proud of their LinkedIn bios. Daniel had dropped me off at the airport. He gave me a half hug, distracted, still sweating from the gym session he squeezed in before the drive. I remember the faint scent of cologne covering something else. Not quite sweat, something worse. Regret, maybe? I brushed it off. Text me when you land, he'd said. I always do, I replied. We didn't kiss. I didn't even notice at the time. That's how routine things had gotten. Isn't that how betrayal works? Not with a crash. Not with chaos. But with silence. With slow fades. With things you don't notice until they've already become normal. At the hotel in Milan, I felt like I was in a commercial. Designer pillows. Rose-scented towels. A rooftop view that made the city look like a painting. It was my first night there, wrapping up notes for my panel on strategic scalability when my phone buzzed. Daniel. I almost didn't answer. It was 3 a.m. his time. Claire, he said casually. Everything okay? I asked. You sound weird. He chuckled. Not warmly. Not kindly. That lazy kind of laugh that meant he already thought he was smarter than you. Just thought I'd get ahead of the news, he said. Pause. What news? I'm leaving you, he said flatly. It's been coming for a while. I think you know that. My hand tightened around the hotel phone. You're, what? And I sold the beach house. Mila and I are going to Tulum for a month to decompress. Don't worry, I'll send the paperwork. Now here's where most people would scream, or cry, or throw their phone across the room. I didn't. Because I'd been married to Daniel Rivers long enough to know that feeding his ego in any form. Anger, heartbreak, even confusion, was exactly what he wanted. He didn't want a divorce. He wanted a performance. So I said, I understand. There was a long pause. I could feel him frown through the speaker. That's it, I said. He laughed again. Wow. Cold as ever. That's when I smiled. But he couldn't see it. He never really did. Goodbye, Daniel. I hung up. Then I poured myself a glass of wine and opened my laptop. I wasn't just going to fight back. I was going to make him regret ever dialing my number. Let me back up. Because if you're thinking I was just some cold businesswoman who ignored the signs, you'd be half right. Yes, I worked a lot. I liked control, planning, efficiency. I handled our taxes, our mortgage, our investments. Daniel liked to say he married a calculator with good hair. But he wasn't some innocent puppy either. He was a personal trainer who bounced from gym to gym, always chasing the next fitness hustle. 6 years ago, I helped him launch his own studio. I wrote the business plan. I got the funding. He ran it. Poorly. When the business folded, he said, it just wasn't the right time. I said nothing. When Mila showed up, 26, bright-eyed, always stretching in crop tops, I said even less. Because I had no proof. Just instincts. The first time I found a strand of long blonde hair in our bedroom, he said it must have been from the dog park. The second time, he claimed it was mine. But it never was. So I started documenting. Quietly. Phone records. Bank statements. Camera timestamps. Because I didn't want revenge. I wanted evidence. 3 hours after his call, I was in a cab to a different hotel across the city, somewhere quieter, with stronger Wi-Fi and fewer distractions. I had work to do. First call, Victor Lang. My old college friend turned lawyer. We hadn't spoken in years. He answered on the third ring. Claire? Wow, it's been. I need your help. Daniel just told me he's divorcing me. He sold the beach house. I want to know if he actually can. Victor paused. Wait, what? I need you to dig into the paperwork. Find out if the property transfer is legal. And Victor? Be quick. I'm coming back in 3 days. And I want a plan in place before my plane lands. The next morning, I sat by the window with an espresso and thought about how it had all crumbled. Or maybe, how it never really stood. Was I too calm? Maybe. Too focused on my career? Probably. But Daniel wasn't a victim. He was someone who saw kindness as weakness. Silence as surrender. He thought because I didn't yell, I wouldn't strike back. He forgot something crucial. You don't need to scream to be dangerous. You just need to know exactly where to cut. And I did. Now I want to ask you something. If someone tried to erase your entire life behind your back, sold your house, replaced you, laughed at your pain, what would you do? Would you beg? Would you break down? Or would you wait, quietly, and burn everything they built? Because when I got off that plane back home, I had one goal. To make Daniel watch as I took everything back. And what happened next? Even I didn't see it coming. Because the moment I walked through that door, his smile quickly faded. How do you look someone in the eyes after they've stabbed you in the back and still think they're winning? Simple. You smile first. That's exactly what I did when I walked through the front door of the house I was supposed to have lost. The very same house Daniel claimed he'd sold. Gone. History. Bought out from under me with the papers already signed and the future already rewritten. But there it was. Same white pillars. Same sea salt breeze wafting through the open balcony. Same echo of my heels on the polished floor that I paid for. The only thing that had changed? Daniel was standing in the kitchen like he owned the place. And beside him, barefoot and wearing my silk robe, was Mila. Yes, that Mila. His new life. His big prize. The trainer's girl. The one he left everything behind for. And let me tell you, if she was expecting me to scream, throw something, or cry in front of those granite countertops I picked out 3 summers ago, she was about to be disappointed. Claire, Daniel said, flashing a grin like he was greeting an old college buddy instead of the wife he'd betrayed. You made it back early. I always do, I said, glancing around. And it looks like you've made yourself comfortable. Mila gave a soft laugh, biting her lip. Nervous. Good. Sorry about the robe, she said. Didn't think you'd mind. I walked past her and poured myself a glass of water. Not because I needed it, but because power doesn't shout. It sips. You two celebrating something? I asked. Daniel leaned against the counter, arms crossed. Freedom, he said smugly. We're finally starting fresh. No more games. No more pretending. No more legal complications? I asked, taking a sip. That made him pause. Just for a second. Then he waved it off. Already handled. Everything signed. Mila and I are flying out Monday. Beach house is sold. It's done, Claire. Don't drag this out. Sold? I echoed, tilting my head. Huh. Mila glanced at him. You said it was final. That the buyers wired the deposit. They did, Daniel said quickly. Escrow closes Tuesday. Daniel, I said slowly, setting the glass down, did you read the contract I left on the kitchen counter before I left for Milan? His brow furrowed. What contract? The one titled Property Holdings, Preliminary Update. Printed. Stapled. In a red folder. Literally right there on the counter you're leaning on. He blinked. No, he said, I didn't notice it. That's funny, I said, walking closer, because you signed it. Right there on the last page. He turned pale. Mila looked between us like she'd just realized she'd wandered into a different movie. What are you talking about? He asked. I took out my phone. Tapped. Spoke clearly. Victor. Are you on? A voice came through the speaker. Calm. Professional. Loud and clear. Daniel straightened. Wait, what the hell is this? Victor continued. Per the document you signed, Daniel, the beach house was legally reassigned to a personal asset trust under Claire Rivers, activated retroactively before any sale attempt was made. That means you didn't sell anything, I finished. Because it was never yours to sell. Dead silence. You could practically hear Mila's robe cinch tighter. You're bluffing, Daniel said, stepping forward. Victor's voice cut back in. You tried to transfer ownership of a property you had no legal right to. That's not just a broken prenup clause. That's attempted fraud. Mila gasped. Daniel's mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. And me? I smiled. Because for the first time in years, Daniel didn't have the upper hand. I did. But this wasn't over. Not even close. Because he hadn't just tried to screw me over. He had secrets I hadn't revealed yet. And Mila? She had a few too. And what she told me next changed everything. Mila looked like she wanted to shrink into the marble tiles. Daniel. You didn't tell me it wasn't your house. He didn't answer. His jaw was clenched so tight I could practically hear the enamel grinding. I turned to her. Mila, let me ask you something. She glanced up. Did you book a one-way ticket to Tulum? She hesitated. Yeah. And where were you planning to stay? Daniel jumped in. Claire, stop. This is between. No, I said, eyes still on Mila. You were planning to stay at the beach house, weren't you? Her lips parted, but nothing came out. You thought he bought it. That he'd made this big, bold move for you. You thought the robe you're wearing and the wine you're drinking came from a clean break. Pause. But you're standing in my kitchen. In my house. Wearing my silk and sipping my forgiveness. And if you think that's romantic. I leaned in slightly. It's not. It's pathetic. She blinked. Then took a slow step back, as if suddenly realizing the floor might give out. Daniel was pacing now. This is ridiculous. This is all some stunt. You don't get to just walk back in here and act like your wife. I asked, voice ice cold. Because legally, I still am. And you acting like you're in control doesn't make it true, Daniel. It just makes you loud. He stopped pacing. Mila stepped forward, nervous. Claire, I swear I didn't know. I believe you, I said, turning to her. Which is why I'm going to give you a choice. You can walk out that door right now and let Daniel deal with the mess he made. Or you can stay and get burned with him. She looked between us. For a split second, I saw something flicker in her expression, something uncertain. Frightened. Then her voice dropped. There's something you should know, she whispered. I tilted my head. About Daniel? She nodded. He turned sharply. Mila, don't. But she didn't stop. She looked right at me and said, he wasn't just cheating on you with me. Silence. Just the sound of the waves outside and the faint crackle of the kitchen clock ticking away whatever illusion Daniel had left. What do you mean? I asked slowly. She swallowed. I thought it was just me. But I found texts. Messages from other women. Clients. Multiple. Daniel lunged forward. She's lying. I didn't flinch. You mean the clients he trained? I asked Mila. She nodded. One of them sent pictures to his phone. He told me she was just a friend, but he said that about you too. That one landed. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. How many? I asked. I don't know, Mila said. But one of them. I think he was stealing money from her too. Investments, maybe? She kept asking when she'd see a return. My heart slowed. Because that wasn't just infidelity. That was something else. That was leverage. And suddenly, I realized Daniel hadn't just sold a house that wasn't his. He'd been building a whole web of lies, tied together with other people's trust. And now? That web was starting to tear. I need you to leave, I said to Mila calmly. What? Just for now. I'm not angry with you. But I need to speak to Daniel. Alone. She hesitated. Daniel said nothing. Then Mila slipped off the robe, set it on the stool, and walked out the front door barefoot. Neither of us said a word. Until it shut behind her. Then I stepped forward and stared at the man I once married. I knew you were a liar, I said softly. But I didn't know you were stupid, too. His voice cracked. You think you've won something? You think this is a game? No, I said. Games have rules. You broke all of them. He smirked, like he still had something hidden up his sleeve. But he didn't. Because the next thing I said made that smirk disappear. Daniel, I said. I know about the money. I know what you did with our shared account. I know about the clients. And I know exactly how I'm going to burn everything you built. I let the words hang there. Heavy. Deadly. You want a war? I asked. Then let's make it legal. And with that, I walked out, leaving him alone in the ruins of a fantasy he thought would never collapse. But collapse it did. And what came next would tear open secrets I hadn't even discovered yet. Because Mila? She wasn't done talking. And her next confession would flip everything upside down. What do you do when the person who betrayed you isn't just a liar, but a criminal? That's the question I kept replaying in my head as I sat in my car, engine idling in the driveway, staring at the beach house I almost lost. Daniel thought he was clever. He thought he could outmaneuver me while I was 12 time zones away, sipping espresso and attending panels with titles like Leadership in a Post-Digital World. He thought he could blindside me with a phone call, hang up, and move on with a new life, new girl, new beach. But what he didn't know, while he was booking flights to Tulum, I was building a case. Because the moment he made that call, the moment he said, I sold the house, I knew. He had no idea what he'd just triggered. Let me take you back to that hotel room in Milan. 3 hours after that call, I wasn't crying. I was writing. Emails. Notes. Names. And then I made the most important call of all. Victor Lang. We met in college. Both type A. Both obsessive. He went to law school. I went corporate. And though we hadn't spoken in years, I knew one thing about Victor Lang. He didn't take cases. He took revenge projects. He picked up on the third ring. Claire Rivers. This must be serious. I need your help, I said. It's Daniel. Daniel? The trainer. Soon-to-be ex-trainer. Victor laughed. Say no more. What's he done? Sold the beach house while I was abroad. Told me during a 5-minute phone call. Thinks he's walking away with everything. Pause. Victor didn't even ask for details. He just said, do you still have the trust papers we drafted 3 years ago? Yes. Perfect. Forward them now. Also send me every email, text, bank record, contract, title deed, and login you can find. I blinked. All of it. All of it, he repeated. Claire, if this man thinks he's playing chess, he's about to realize you invented the board. I spent the next 36 hours combing through everything. Bank statements. Transfer receipts. Emails from an account Daniel thought I didn't know about. Here's what we found. The beach house sale wasn't legal. Thanks to a clause in our prenup and a trust we established years ago for asset protection, the property was technically in my name. The ownership hadn't transferred because Daniel hadn't completed the required paperwork. Specifically, he failed to get a notarized spousal release. It was sloppy. It was arrogant. And it was enough. Victor initiated a property freeze within 24 hours. The title company involved was notified. Escrow halted. The buyers pulled out when legal flags went up. The house? Still mine. But that was just the beginning. Claire, Victor said during our second Zoom call, you said he might have touched shared funds. What makes you think that? Transactions, I said. I found over $30,000 missing in the last 6 months from our joint investment account. I never authorized the withdrawals. Where did the money go? I tracked a few of the transfers. One went to an account under the name Riptide Wellness LLC. Victor raised an eyebrow. That's not yours. No, I said. It's Daniel's. His failed fitness brand. Victor leaned back, already writing in a legal pad. Claire, you're sitting on a treasure chest of leverage. If you want to destroy him in court, we can. Fraud, misappropriation of marital funds, wire transfers from a community account to a private business. This is textbook marital misconduct. I paused. I don't just want to destroy him. Then what do you want? I want him to know I let him dig his own grave. Quietly. While he smiled. Victor nodded. Then we won't serve him yet. Let him think he won. When you come back home, act normal. Let him show off. Let him brag. I smiled. Oh, trust me, I said. He will. And he did. That smug look on his face when I walked into the kitchen? That wasn't just arrogance. That was a man who thought he had won. Who thought he got the girl, got the house, got the storybook ending. And when I dropped the paperwork bomb, his whole face cracked. But it gets better. Because the moment Mila told me about the other women and the investments he'd taken from one of them, Victor and I both knew we were dealing with more than just a bitter divorce. We were dealing with a financial predator. 2 days after returning home, I met Mila in a downtown cafe. Neutral ground. Soft jazz playing. White mugs. Fake smiles. She looked smaller without Daniel beside her. Thank you for meeting me, I said, sliding her a cup of coffee. She nodded. I'm sorry. For what? For being part of it. I didn't know how deep it went. But now I do. I leaned in. Mila, I need everything. Dates. Texts. Transfers. If you want to protect yourself, you'll help me. And she did. She pulled out her phone and scrolled. She showed me messages, ones where Daniel promised her they'd be rich soon. Don't worry, it's Claire's account. She'll never notice, and everyone's doing side things these days. She even showed me a video. A screen recording of Daniel transferring money while explaining how to label things so they don't raise flags. My heart should have dropped. But it didn't. Because I wasn't surprised anymore. I was just collecting receipts. Victor filed the paperwork that Friday. Asset protection orders. Cease and desist notices. Subpoenas for Daniel's business accounts. All set. But we weren't done. Claire, Victor said, we need one more thing. What's that? A confrontation. What kind? Private. Just you and him. In the house. Let him talk. Record it. If he admits to anything, we nail him. I nodded. When? Victor smiled. Send him a calendar invite. So I did. Subject, let's talk. Location, beach house. Time, Saturday. 7 p.m., just us. And when Daniel got that invite, he accepted immediately. He still didn't know the walls were closing in. He still thought he had a chance to fix it all with charm, manipulation, or fake apologies. But I wasn't coming to talk. I was coming to end it. Because the next time I saw him, he wasn't going to walk away feeling smug. He was going to leave with nothing. And the moment he walked through that door, he walked right into the trap. What does it take to make someone who thought they stole your life beg to give it back? Not anger. Not revenge. Just the truth served cold, without warning, from someone who never raised her voice. And for Mila Torres? That truth hit harder than anything Daniel ever told her. Because when I met her the second time, really met her, she wasn't the smug, silk-robed trophy lounging in my kitchen. She was a shaken girl sitting across from me, eyes darting, phone trembling in her hand, and one sentence away from realizing she'd been used worse than I ever was. It happened 3 days after I confronted Daniel. I had just finalized the paperwork with Victor, stacking a case so tight around Daniel it could suffocate him. Bank transfers, business fraud, unauthorized withdrawals, failed property transfers, it was airtight. But I needed Mila's side of it to lock the emotional narrative. Because this wasn't just about legal wins. It was about public collapse. And Mila? She held the missing pieces. So I invited her to meet. Neutral space. Quiet coffee shop. Midday, no crowd. She walked in late, wearing sunglasses that didn't belong to her and a hoodie 2 sizes too big. Claire, she said, voice barely audible. Mila. We sat. No small talk. She clutched a to-go cup like it might protect her from what I was about to say. I want to help, she said first. I raised an eyebrow. Why? Because he lied to me. About everything. Did you think he wouldn't? I asked calmly. She looked down. I thought he loved me. That hung in the air. Heavy. Awkward. Honest. I thought he was just escaping a bad marriage, she said. He said you were cold. Controlling. That you didn't want him to succeed. I took a slow sip of my coffee. And you believed him. I did, she whispered. Silence. And then I asked the one question that had been circling my head for days. Mila, how many other women did he lie to? Her lip trembled. She pulled out her phone and placed it on the table. There were 4, she said. That I know of. 4. Not 1. Not 2. 4. Clients? I asked. Yeah. All of them from the gym. Some while he was with me. One even messaged me after she found out I was living with him. Said he took money from her too. Promised to invest it in a new location. I leaned in. Do you have proof? She nodded. Screenshots. Venmo receipts. One girl even emailed him. I have that too. She opened her phone. Scrolled. And there it was. From Alyssa B. Subject. Urgent. Missing funds. Message. Hey, Daniel. It's been 3 weeks and I haven't seen the return you promised. You said 10% ROI in 10 days. I trusted you. If I don't hear back by Friday, I'm going to Claire. I read it twice. Mila, I said. This is more than cheating. This is theft. Investment fraud. Possibly identity fraud if he used my accounts. She swallowed hard. I know. That's why I'm here. But why now? I asked. You could have walked away and pretended you never knew. I tried, she said quietly. After I left the beach house that night, I went to my sister's. Thought about running. But the more I looked at the messages, the more I realized. She looked up at me, eyes raw. I wasn't the new life. I was just the next lie. Here's the thing no one tells you about the other woman. Sometimes, she's not your enemy. Sometimes, she's just the one who got fooled after you. And Mila? She was starting to wake up. But waking up came with consequences. Because helping me meant going against Daniel. And Daniel didn't take betrayal well. That night, after our meeting, Mila called me from a burner phone. Her voice was shaking. He came to my apartment, she whispered. Daniel. What did he say? He begged. First said he was sorry, that he didn't mean for any of it to happen. Then he turned angry. Asked if I'd talk to you. Said I was making a huge mistake. And are you? I asked. Silence. No, she said. I'm not. He'll come at you hard, I warned. He'll threaten. He'll lie. He might even try to discredit you. I don't care anymore, she said. I saved everything. If you take him to court, I'll testify. That was all I needed. But she wasn't done. There's something else, she said, voice lower now. Something I didn't want to say earlier. I waited. He used your name, she whispered. On some of the documents. One of the transfers. He said it was fine, that you wouldn't notice. But when I saw it, Claire, I knew it was illegal. My chest went still. He forged my name. That wasn't just fraud. That was criminal identity misuse. A felony. And it gave me everything I needed to bury him. Not just in court, but in every room he ever tried to walk into again. I stayed quiet for a moment. Then I said, thank you for telling me. But you need to be careful now. I know. Block him. Change your number. Lay low. And then I hung up. Because Daniel wasn't going to stop. Not until someone made him. And I was done playing nice. Because the next time I saw him, I wasn't just walking into a confrontation. I was walking into a confession. And what he said that night proved everything. 3 days later, Mila dropped a flash drive off at Victor's office. No signature. No message. Just a white envelope with a sticky note that read, in case he tries to flip the story. Inside the drive? Voice memos, emails, screenshots. Proof that Daniel had been building a con for years. Mila had captured everything. Him walking her through how to reroute money from my investment account. Conversations with other women who thought they were building something with him. Even a screen recording of him bragging about faking my signature on a transfer. Victor called me immediately. This isn't just enough, he said. This is a grenade. We can bury him without ever stepping foot in a courtroom. And if we do go to trial, he'll never recover. Will Mila testify? She's scared, but yes. Especially after what he did next. My stomach tightened. What did he do? Victor's voice flattened. He sent her a cease and desist letter. From a shady lawyer. Tried to claim she was stalking him. I almost laughed. Of course he did. Daniel always played offense when he felt the walls closing in. Accuse first. Confuse the story. Make the victim look unstable. He was predictable, dangerous, yes, but never clever. And this time, he was running out of space. He thought Mila was weak. That she'd fold the second things got real. But she didn't. She doubled down. That same day, she posted on her private fitness blog. No names. No details. Just a caption. Just because they smile when they leave you doesn't mean they won. It got over 800 likes in 24 hours. And more importantly, 3 of Daniel's former clients DM'd her. One of them wrote, "I think we need to talk." He did something similar to me. Mila wasn't just a witness anymore. She was a ripple effect. And Daniel? He was about to drown in it. That night, I got a text from him. No greeting. No subject. Just this. Let's talk. I think we've both made mistakes. The audacity. He still thought I was playing defense. He had no idea that the conversation he was walking into would be the last one he had with power in his voice. Because by now, I had enough to destroy his reputation, lock down every account, and drag him through a courtroom so brutal even his charm couldn't save him. But I wasn't after vengeance. Not really. I wanted something quieter. Something colder. I wanted him to see what it looked like when the person you underestimated smiled as they erased you. So I replied, Saturday, 7 p.m., just us. At the house. He didn't hesitate. He thought I was crawling back. He had no idea I'd already rewritten the ending. Because the minute he walked into that house, I would already have everything I needed. His lies. His voice. His confession. And when it came, it shocked even me. Have you ever listened to someone lie so smoothly, you almost believed it too? That's what it felt like, sitting across from Daniel in the very living room he once said we'd grow old in. He showed up wearing a collared shirt, hair slicked back, cologne strong enough to choke. His version of an apology costume. The front door shut behind him with a dull click. He looked around, taking in the room like he still belonged in it. He didn't realize this was no longer a home. It was a crime scene, and he was the only suspect. You look good, he said. I didn't answer. He smiled like it was charming. It wasn't. I brought your favorite, he added, holding up a bottle of red wine like we were two friends patching up a silly misunderstanding. Tempranillo from that little shop in Napa. Daniel, I said calmly. Sit down. He did. I sat across from him. Between us, a coffee table, a glass of water, and a hidden recorder embedded inside a decorative vase. Live streaming audio straight to Victor. Before we start, he said, I just want to say, I messed up. A lot. I got caught up in things. Mila, the business, stress. I acted like a kid. I let the silence hang. 1 second. 2. Then, you committed fraud. He blinked. I'm trying to take accountability, Claire. You stole from our joint account. That's not stealing. You forged my signature. That one landed. His jaw tightened. His hand tapped the side of his glass. I just needed seed money. For the brand. You weren't supporting it. I wasn't supporting a failing gym you ran into the ground, I corrected. Because I already funded it once. And you blew it. Remember? He leaned forward. Claire, come on. You're acting like I was running some kind of scam. I tilted my head. Were you? He froze. Then exhaled a sharp laugh. You think I'm the villain here? You were never even in the marriage, Claire. You were married to your laptop, your board meetings, your spreadsheets. There it was. The pivot. Blame. Classic Daniel. You needed to feel powerful again, I said, calm. So you found younger women who'd call you impressive when you gave them fake investment plans and borrowed charisma. You called it love. He stood. No. I found someone who actually cared. Mila was there for me when you weren't. And if I made a few questionable moves, it was because I had to survive. You made me. Sit down, I said. He did. Because despite the shouting, despite the arrogance, he knew something had changed. He just didn't know what yet. Daniel, I said slowly, do you remember Alyssa? He froze. I continued. She messaged Mila. Said you promised her 10% returns. Said she gave you over $8,000. His jaw tensed. She's not the only one, I added. There's also Monica. Elise. Kendra. He looked away. They're all prepared to testify, I said. Every single one. He exhaled, nostrils flaring. And Mila? I added. She gave me everything. Texts, emails, audio, the fake LLC, the signature. Your little tutorial on hiding transactions. His face shifted. Not shock, not fear. Just the slow realization that the walls he thought were solid were paper thin. I was trying to build something, he whispered. You built a con. He looked at me, finally really looked, and for the first time, I saw the thing beneath the charm. Panic. You can't prove intent, he said quickly. You don't know what I told them, what they agreed to, what they... I stood up. He stopped talking. And I said the final nail in his coffin. I don't have to prove intent, Daniel. You admitted it. His eyes widened. What? I tapped the vase once. Live feed. To my attorney. You gave it all up. Willingly. In your own words. His lips moved. But nothing came out. He sat there. Stunned. Silent. And I finally felt done. But as I turned to leave the room, my phone buzzed. A message from Victor. You need to see this. Now. I opened the email attachment. And my stomach dropped. Because it wasn't about Daniel. It was about me. One of the women he conned had made a police report. But she didn't file it against him. She filed it against both of us. And that's when I realized. Daniel's web of lies had my name written into the center. I stared at the screen. For a moment, the room blurred around me. The email from Victor was short. Urgent. Subject. Urgent. Filing from Alyssa V. Attachment. Police report hashtag 74821B. And right there, in bold black text, I saw my name. Not just mentioned. Named. In a formal complaint to the local authorities. Allegation. Financial misrepresentation. Fraudulent investment promise. Conspiracy to defraud. Filed against. Daniel Rivers. Claire Rivers. Conspiracy? I whispered. Daniel, still seated across from me, must have seen the change in my face. The power shift. The sharp freeze in my expression. He leaned forward. What? I didn't answer. I forwarded the file to my private inbox, closed my phone, and stood still for a moment, just long enough for the silence to say everything. Claire, he pressed, what's going on? I looked up slowly. You told her I was part of it. He blinked. What? Alyssa. You told her I co-signed that investment. That I approved it. That it was our project. He went pale. I didn't, he stammered. No. I might have. Implied. But not like that. I didn't mean for her to. You used my name. My credibility. My reputation again. I was trying to protect you. Protect me? I snapped, voice finally rising. You forged my name, bled our accounts dry, and then dragged me into your scam to make it look legitimate? He stood, hands out like he could shape the air between us into forgiveness. I panicked, Claire. I didn't think she'd go that far. Oh, she did. She went to the police. His arms dropped. And now? If this sticks? I go down with you. He took a step back. His face twisted. You're seriously blaming me? I didn't make you ignore me for years, Claire. I didn't make you put your job first, or treat me like some project you could control. There it was. The weaponized guilt. The kind of gaslighting Daniel had mastered over years. Twisting logic. Injecting poison slowly. Enough to make you question yourself. But not anymore. I stepped forward toe-to-toe. Don't you dare pretend this is about love. Or loneliness. Or me not holding your hand enough. You lied. You stole. You forged. And now I have to clean up your mess before I get pulled into the fire you started. He looked like a man trying to claw his way out of a coffin he nailed shut himself. What are you going to do? He asked, voice thin. I stared him dead in the eyes. I'm going to fix this. And me? You're going to answer for it. I picked up my bag and headed toward the door. Claire, he called behind me. You can't just leave me like this. I didn't turn around. Because the woman he called cold was the only one keeping him from complete ruin. And now? Even that was off the table. I met Victor in person 20 minutes later. Rooftop bar. Rain in the distance. My hands still shaking as I slid the phone across the table. Can we shut this down? Victor scanned the file. Quiet. Calculating. She claims Daniel promised the returns were backed by you. Even said you were the financial officer of his firm. She has screenshots. A PDF with your name on it. My signature? No. Typed. But she's not stupid. She connected the dots. Can we prove I didn't know? Yes, he said. Easily. The trail's clean. But we'll need Mila. And maybe the others. To go on record and confirm you had nothing to do with it. My stomach twisted. You said we were ahead. We were, he said. We still are. But this? This is the kind of twist a good lawyer can exploit if we're not fast. I sat back, eyes burning. Not with tears. With rage. Because this wasn't just Daniel trying to escape. It was him pulling me down as his anchor. Victor leaned in. Claire. This changes the game. How? You're not just the victim anymore. You're a witness. A target. And, if we don't handle it right, a suspect. I clenched my fists. Then let's handle it. I'll call Alyssa. I'll ask her to sit down with us. If she's reasonable, we get her to retract the part about you. Set the record straight. And if she's not? Victor didn't answer. Because we both knew. If Alyssa pushed forward with her claim, I could be dragged into a public legal war. Not just against Daniel, but against everything I'd built. My name, my company, my entire future. All because I married a charming man with empty promises and just enough lies to infect everyone he touched. And now his poison was in my bloodstream. But I wasn't going to let it stay there. Because if Daniel wanted to bring me down, he'd have to survive the storm I was about to unleash. And the first lightning strike would come from someone he never saw as a threat. Because Mila wasn't finished yet. And she'd just discovered something that made everything worse. What's more dangerous than a man who lies to your face? A man who believes his lies so completely, he forgets they're not true. Saturday, 7 p.m. The beach house was lit with soft, low lights. No music. No wine. No distractions. Just silence and purpose. Daniel walked in like he was entering a therapy session, not a legal ambush. He wore a fitted blazer over a black t-shirt, as if wardrobe alone could hide the stench of everything he'd done. He smiled again. As if anything about this was funny. You wanted to talk, he said. Yes, I answered, shutting the door behind him. Sit. He looked around. Where's the lawyer? Not here. Good, he said. Maybe we can have an actual conversation. He still thought this was about closure. It wasn't. It was about confession. And not the kind you whisper under breath to avoid guilt. The kind you record. He sat on the edge of the couch, hands on his knees like a student ready for a lecture. I stayed standing. Daniel, I said, I need you to be completely honest with me tonight. He chuckled. Now that's new. I ignored it. You told Alyssa I was involved in your business. That I co-signed the investment. That the returns were backed by me. Is that true? He shifted. His fake confidence cracked slightly. I might have said we worked on things together. Just to calm her down. You told her I approved the investment plan. I never said you were personally involved. She filed a police report. His eyes twitched. Barely. Wait, what? She named you. And me. He stood up. Claire, I swear to God, I didn't think she'd go to the cops. That's your defense? He stopped. I stared at him. Did you use my name to legitimize your pitch? He stayed silent. I stepped closer. Yes or no? He hesitated. Then, under his breath. Yes. I nodded. Did you ever tell her I signed off on any documents? No, he said quickly. I never forged anything that had your actual signature on it. That's not what I asked. Silence. I lowered my voice. Did you ever send her a PDF that included my name or title as a partner? Another pause. Yes. Did you imply I was part of the project, even though you knew I wasn't? Yes. My voice was flat now. Did you accept funds under those false claims? He looked away. Then, yes. And there it was. The truth. Heavy. Final. And, thanks to the small camera lens hidden behind the bookshelf, perfectly recorded. You just confessed to felony fraud, Daniel. His head snapped up. What? I had to protect myself. After what you did. After the report. This whole conversation is on record. He stood. You tricked me into confessing? No, I said. You did that yourself. You just didn't think I'd be smart enough to trap you. He stared at me. For a moment, he looked small. Not sad. Not ashamed. Just cornered. This is going to ruin me, he said. No, I said. You ruined yourself. He started pacing. You can't go public with this. You're in it too now. If this blows up, your name gets dragged through the mud. I already talked to the authorities, I said. With a lawyer. With Mila. We've built a case against you, and I'm filing a formal declaration that I was impersonated. His mouth opened, but there was no comeback this time. I went to the desk drawer. Pulled out the envelope. Slid it across the table. What's this? He asked. Your final offer. He didn't touch it. I spoke slowly. You walk away from everything. You sign over your claims to the beach house, the accounts, and you take a settlement offer of exactly what's left after all debt and restitution are paid. Which, by the way, won't be much. His hands curled into fists. And if I say no? I stepped back. Then I release the recordings. I share them with Alyssa's lawyer. With Mila's. With the other women. And I let the police do the rest. He laughed bitterly. You'd destroy me. I didn't blink. You already destroyed yourself. I'm just removing the wreckage. He picked up the envelope. Read it. You get everything, he said. And I get what? Nothing. You get freedom, I said. From prison. From lawsuits. From whatever career you were pretending to build. He threw the envelope down. This is insane. No, I said. This is justice. He stared at the floor, breathing heavily. And just when I thought he might sign, my phone buzzed. A message from Mila. 5 words. I found something else. Urgent. I looked at Daniel. And suddenly, I understood. There was still something he hadn't told me. Something buried even deeper. Because if Mila was right, this wasn't over. Not even close. The message on my screen buzzed again. Claire, check your email. Right now. I opened it immediately. Attached was a PDF. No subject line. No explanation. Just the title. Riptide Financial Outline, Draft Agreement, CR.docs. My initials. At first, I thought it was one of the many fake files Daniel had been passing around. But this one was different. It was dated 6 months earlier. It looked official. It had a header with my name and professional title from my consulting firm. The signature line said Claire Rivers, Financial Director. And the body of the document outlined an internal approval for investor contributions. But I had never written it. I had never even seen it. I opened the message thread Mila had forwarded with it. And there it was. Daniel, texting Alyssa. Claire already approved the plan. I can show you the draft doc tomorrow. That document, the one I never touched, was the draft. And to her, it looked real. Because he made it real enough. Back in the room, Daniel was still pacing, still muttering to himself like a man bargaining with the air. You built this narrative, Claire, he was saying. You made me feel like I wasn't enough, like I had to be something else. You forged a document with my name on it. I cut in, holding the phone up. That's beyond fraud. That's criminal impersonation. He turned, confused. I turned the phone around and let him see the file. His face went blank. Then, just for a split second, it twisted. The mask cracked. That wasn't supposed to be found, he said quietly. There it was. The truth behind the charm. The real Daniel. The one who didn't just cheat or lie. The one who manufactured a version of me, one who would cover for him, fund him, legitimize his con without my knowledge. You used my name to cover yourself, I said. You created fake documents to make investors trust you. That wasn't just about the beach house or Mila or the money. Pause. That was about control. He shook his head. You don't get it. I had to make it look official. People trust you. They never trusted me. You didn't want trust, I said. You wanted a shortcut. You always did. He looked like he wanted to scream. But he didn't. He just sat down again, hands on his knees, like a man who'd finally stopped running. You're going to take this to the police, he said. I already have. And the women? They're waiting, I said. Mila's giving her full testimony. Alyssa's lawyer is drawing up civil charges. One of the others has gone to the press. That last part hit. He swallowed. Hard. How bad is it going to get? He asked. I didn't answer at first. Because it wasn't about how bad. It was about how thorough. You don't recover from this, I said finally. Your business is dead. Your name is ruined. If you sign this agreement, I gestured to the envelope again, you walk away with what little freedom you still have. If you don't, I get buried, he finished. No, I said. You bury yourself. He stared at the envelope like it might bite. But then, with slow, shaking hands, he opened it again. This time, he read all of it. Every word. And then he asked, Can I have a pen? I handed it to him. He signed. Right there. Daniel Rivers, walking away from every lie he'd built. I took the agreement and locked it in my briefcase. Someone will contact you in the next few days for the asset transfers, I said. You're not to contact me. Or any of the women. He didn't say anything. I stood. Walked toward the door. Opened it. Goodbye, Daniel. And for the first time in years, he didn't try to stop me. But as I stepped out into the night air, my phone buzzed again. A new email. From an unknown address. Subject line. He wasn't working alone. I stopped walking. Opened it. And my heart slammed in my chest. Inside were messages. Bank transfers. Shared passwords. A hidden Dropbox folder with years of files, many of which weren't from Daniel's account. They were from someone else. Someone I knew. And just like that, everything I thought I understood about Daniel's betrayal cracked wide open. Because what came next was bigger than just him. And I wasn't ready for it. What if the person you thought was behind the betrayal wasn't alone? What if someone even closer was standing just outside your line of sight, smiling, nodding, watching you fall apart because they were part of it? That email didn't just reopen the wound. It changed everything. I was halfway down the driveway, the beach house shrinking behind me, when I saw the subject line. He wasn't working alone. I stopped walking. Cold air slid down my neck. My stomach dropped into silence. The sender address wasn't Daniel, or Mila, or any of the women. It was encrypted, masked. But the message? Crystal clear. It began with a line that felt like a slap. You missed the real traitor. Attached were 3 files. A string of payment notifications, small deposits sent weekly from an offshore account. A list of document metadata tags, 2 usernames. One was Daniel's. The other? Jenna_83. My sister. Jenna Rivers. 33 years old. Fiery. Funny. Supportive. The one who told me to burn him slow. The one who helped me pack when I left for Milan. The one who sent me a bottle of wine on my birthday with a card that said, "To hell with ungrateful men." Her. Her name was all over the document metadata. Not just in passing, she'd created 3 drafts of the fake financial agreement Daniel used to con Alyssa. She'd formatted it. Labeled it. Tagged it as Claire_approved_draft_final. I couldn't breathe for a full 10 seconds. Why? Why would Jenna help him? I called Victor immediately. He picked up on the first ring. Tell me. I just got a tip. Someone else helped Daniel, Jenna. Silence. Your sister. I need you to confirm it. Find anything you can. Emails. Transfers. Shared logins. Go deep. I'm on it. He hung up. I stood in the middle of the driveway, under the streetlight, gripping my phone like it might break. This wasn't just betrayal anymore. This was family. The next morning, Victor called. Claire, he said. It's real. Jenna was involved. I sat down. Tell me everything. She didn't just help him create the document. She opened the offshore account he used. The paper trail is layered, but her name is on the shell corporation that received Mila's money. What was it called? Rivco Consulting. Rivers. Our family name. Why? I whispered. I don't know, Victor said. But I can tell you when it started. About a year ago. Right after Daniel's gym failed. I tried to think back. That was around the time Jenna was complaining about money. Her job at the design firm was cutting hours. She said she was drowning in credit card debt. I paid her rent that month. She cried when I did. Told me she didn't know what she'd do without me. Now I did. She'd sell me out. Not with a knife in the back, but with spreadsheets, signature templates, and a smile that never slipped. Victor kept talking, his voice sharper now, clinical. There were 14 transfers in total. All small, under $3,000, to stay under reporting thresholds. But they add up. Over $40,000 moved through that shell account over the past 8 months. And she kept half? I asked. No, he said. More like 70%. So Daniel wasn't just the con man. He was the puppet. And my sister? She was pulling strings from the dark. I hung up and stared out the window of my office for what felt like forever. Because this wasn't just betrayal anymore. This was personal. This was blood. This was the one person who swore she had my back, making sure I never saw the blade in her hand. I confronted her that evening. No games. No staging. Just one phone call. Claire, she answered cheerfully. Hey, everything okay? Why did you do it? Silence. What do you mean? You helped Daniel forge those documents. You created a shell account. You took investor money. Why? Dead air. Then the voice that followed? Wasn't Jenna. It was something colder. Resigned. Because you never let me win, Claire. I froze. What? You were always first. Always the perfect one. The one with the job, the house, the respect. I was always just your little sister with design skills and debt. I was sick of watching you fix everything. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So you helped him scam me? He said it wouldn't touch you. That you'd never be involved. That it was just a few small documents to get him started. He used me. He used both of us. You let him, I said. I just wanted out, she said. Out of debt. Out of your shadow. Just for once. You could have asked me for help. I did, she snapped. And you pitted me. That one hit harder than I expected. Because maybe she wasn't wrong. Maybe I had pitted her. But this was unforgivable. Jenna, I'm going public. You know that. I know. You'll be named. I know. You'll lose everything. I already did, she whispered. A long time ago. Then she hung up. Just like that. Victor filed the final set of charges the next morning. Not just against Daniel. But Jenna too. I had to sign a declaration. Submit a statement. Attach the files that linked her name to the entire operation. And when I did, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt done. Not vindicated. Not vengeful. Just empty. Because there's a special kind of grief that comes from surviving betrayal like this. Not just from the person you loved, but from the person you trusted more than anyone else. My husband. And my sister. Together. Behind my back. Selling my name like it was a signature they could fake and cash. But here's the thing about hitting bottom. You stop caring about how it looks. And start caring about how to build again. And when I finally stepped back onto the sand outside the beach house, feeling the wind come off the ocean, I didn't think about the lies. Or the money. Or the lawsuits. I thought about the silence. The stillness. The fact that I was standing on ground that was mine. Mine again. And no one would take it from me. Ever. But that wasn't the end. Because a week later, Victor called me one last time. There's one more development, he said. Oh God, I sighed. What now? The press picked up the story. A major outlet. I figured that would happen. They want an interview. With you. Why? To hear your side. The woman who lost everything and burned it all down quietly. I laughed. And I said yes. Because Daniel tried to erase me. Jenna tried to replace me. But when the dust settled, I was still standing. And the only thing more powerful than revenge is truth. They thought I'd disappear. He thought I'd shatter. She thought I'd stay silent. But when you've been cut open by people you trusted the most, there's a moment, brief but unforgettable, when everything inside you goes quiet. And in that stillness, you realize something terrifying. You're not broken. You're awake. I gave my interview 2 weeks later. Not to clear my name. Victor already handled that. The authorities dismissed my involvement entirely. My company released a public statement backing me. My inbox flooded with messages of support, shock, and sympathy. No, I didn't talk to the press to play the victim. I did it so no one else could write the ending for me. They filmed the interview inside the beach house. My beach house. The one Daniel tried to erase from our lives, and Jenna tried to forge away with a keystroke. It was poetic, really. I sat in front of the same fireplace where we toasted our anniversary 3 years earlier. The same kitchen where Mila poured wine wearing my robe. The same hallway where Daniel called me cold after I said I'd forgiven him. The interviewer asked the question everyone was waiting for. What would you say to Daniel now if you were watching? I paused, looked straight into the camera, and said, "Thank you." Not out of forgiveness. Not out of sarcasm. But because the moment he called me from halfway across the world to tell me he was leaving, laughing like he'd won. That moment was the start of everything I needed to become untouchable. Because he didn't destroy me. He unleashed me. And once I was free, I never stopped moving. The fallout came fast. Daniel lost everything. He took the deal I offered, because it was that or prison. The investors came for him hard. One of the women filed a civil suit that made headlines. His reputation was torched. He moved to Arizona. Alone. Quiet. Jenna resigned from her design firm before the charges went public. No press release. No goodbye post. Just vanished. I don't know where she is now. People ask if I miss her. I do. But I miss the version of her that never existed. I kept the beach house. Refurnished it. Painted the walls. Tore out everything that looked like it remembered him. And one morning, as the sun rose over the water, I sat on the balcony with coffee and asked myself a question. What comes next when you've survived everything? The answer surprised me. Not revenge. Not retribution. But rebirth. I started a foundation 3 months later. A quiet one. Nothing flashy. It helps women recover from financial abuse and manipulation. Legal guidance. Recovery grants. Digital forensics training. All the things I wished I'd known when it started. We named it the second draft. Because that's what this was. A rewrite. A clean page. But I never forgot the first draft. I keep a folder in my desk labeled The Call. Inside is the audio file of Daniel's confession. A screenshot of Jenna's metadata signature. And the photo of the red wine glass on the counter the night I came home. Why? Because survival without memory is just denial. And I don't live in denial anymore. I live aware. So let me ask you, what would you do if someone tried to erase your life? Would you fight loud? Would you run? Or would you wait, perfectly still, until the moment was right to strike back? Daniel laughed when he left me. Jenna smiled while she helped him. And I said 2 words. I understand. They thought it was surrender. But it was just silence before the storm. Because they wrote the first chapter. But I wrote the last one. And now, it's mine. I didn't want to be the woman who was cheated on. Or the one who was lied to. Or the tragic heroine with a glass of wine in one hand and a cautionary tale in the other. But I became all of those things, and then walked right out of them. Because here's the truth no one tells you. It's not about how badly they break you. It's about how quietly you put yourself back together, piece by jagged piece, without asking for applause. And when you're finally whole again, you don't owe anyone your silence. Not the man who thought betrayal would buy him freedom. Not the sister who used your shadow as her cover. And definitely not the world, which loves a broken woman more than a dangerous one. Well, I chose dangerous. And I'm not sorry. Sometimes I get messages from strangers. Women who watched the interview, read the story, piece together their own betrayals through mine. One wrote, You said what I never could. You stayed calm and you won. Thank you for proving it's possible. I didn't respond. Because it's not about being calm. It's about being ready. People confuse silence with weakness. But silence? It's a strategy. It's what you do when you're gathering proof, watching the puzzle take shape, and planning the kind of ending they don't see coming. If I could go back and change it all, would I? No. Not a second. Because pain has a purpose when you refuse to waste it. Daniel gave me the script he thought I'd follow. Jenna handed me the lie she hoped I'd never read. And together, they showed me what I needed to know. The only thing more powerful than betrayal is being underestimated. And that's never happening again. So this is where the story ends. Not with a happy couple. Not with some clean bow. But with truth. With consequences. And with one woman standing in the ashes of what was supposed to destroy her, holding the match. And if you've ever been lied to, if someone's ever looked you in the eyes and decided you were easy to fool, then remember this. You don't have to yell. You don't have to break. You don't have to beg. You just have to know. And when the time is right, you burn it all down, beautifully.